For any of your viewers who aren't necessarily familiar with us, we have the footprint of around 200 million LG TVs worldwide and about 35 million LG TVs within the US. And what's interesting, because you're asking about what's the evolution of TV, we envisage a future where we want to be the catalyst to change what television even means. And so I can explain a little bit what I mean. So in the past, TV was almost this passive medium that just kind of happened to you. You could change the channel, but essentially not a lot of control. And now, and even more so tomorrow, the future, we see a future where it's going to be this immersive experience, something that you're actively engaged in, whether you're talking cloud gaming baked directly into your television, shoppable moments, either in the ad units on your TV or baked into the content, even things like on-demand content. And then I also think about, sometimes you can take a step back and think about what does TV even mean? As we start to strike deals and get these LG screens, into non-traditional places, automobiles, passenger screens, you can start to offer fast services like LG channels, and that provides an advertising opportunity. So I think where we've come from to now has been quite a journey, but I think what happens next is even more exciting.
And that brings me to my next question about what this evolution means for advertisers in terms of the opportunity to not only engage consumers, but also target them in such a way that they feel as if advertising isn't all that intrusive or annoying, or is actually a pleasant experience, if that's possible too.
Yeah, one of the things about advertising that really goes to its performance is relevance. And so what enables you as a marketer to deliver a relevant message to your audience is the addressability. It's the ability to act on data signals, whether that's the context of the show, whether that's what you know about a household, whether that's what you know about their viewership habits through things like our automatic content recognition, ACR. These things make the advertising much more relevant for the individuals, and the relevance is driving performance. And so, this is an example I use sometimes, but for example, for me, I'm a triathlete. If you serve me an ad for women's shoes, I'm just not buying. I'm not converting. It's not relevant to me. But if it's men's cycling shoes, men's running shoes, particularly with a triathlon slant, suddenly it's relevance. And that data and that knowledge to be able to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time, as they say, is being realized in connected TV. It's almost the best of both worlds. It's the addressability and measurement that we've always loved about digital, and it's the sight, sound, and motion that we've always loved about television.
And what else can you tell us about what you learn about your viewers, the people who own an LG television? What kinds? You mentioned signals like context and content and that kind of thing. Is there any other way that you gather information about these consumers that's relevant to advertisers?
Yeah, well, obviously always in a privacy-friendly way, but automatic content recognition is something that is tremendously useful for marketers. So, for example, maybe you can't afford that Super Bowl slot, but you can retarget sports fans, football fans, or Super Bowl viewers and get your audience maybe in a different context. And that can be a more efficient way to connecting with your audience. And then I would also say, and it's not really an audience answer, but I think it's relevant for this territory, I would also say you think about data-driven advertising. So, for example, we have weather-triggered ads. And maybe we're in two different geolocations. Maybe it's rainy where you are, maybe it's sunny where I am. That clothing brand could promote a message like, we're keeping you dry, rain jackets, things like that. For me, maybe it's performance tech fabrics keep you cool. And what's interesting about that is for a clothing manufacturer like that, it enables them to maintain national scale always on while always being relevant to the conditions at the time. And that's pretty impressive. With traditional TV, you could never do anything like that. You could attempt to sort of match to seasons, but to have that real-time weather data inform what you want to say. And it's not just weather. I like to use weather as an example because I think everyone could kind of wrap their arms around it. But you can even make that much more sophisticated, customize what's shown in the ad, the color of the ad, the messaging of the ad. This dynamic content optimization of the ads, I think, is really critical.
Well, finally, Tony, looking ahead, I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what you expect to see as far as the evolution of different technologies, specifically artificial intelligence, AI. That's something everyone's talking about. How do you see that shaping your space?
Well, what's a conversation like this if we don't talk about AI, right? Obviously, a hot topic. I think, like, if we're being intellectually honest, I think there are a lot of folks in our industry that are still learning and still trying to understand how it can be applied. And I think there are a couple of key areas, at least for where we sit, where I expect, now and into the future, AI to be really critical. So I think the first is around targeting. Being able to create artificial intelligence driven segments that are relevant, that are just able to convert at a better level, without necessarily the simplicity of the segments of yesteryear. And so I think AI is going to create much more meaningful, much more efficient segments. And then I would also say in the creative process, and we're already doing this actually, but helping to make creatives. And there's a few paths you can go down here. At the risk of having a nerdy joke, but I think we can take it from A/B testing, which is what we do now. Maybe there's two versions of an ad. You test them, the one that performs better you use. When you can just generate an endless supply of ads and test them all, rather than A/B testing, you're almost AZ testing, the whole alphabet. Generate them all, use the ones that resonate, don't use the ones that do not resonate. And I think you're going to see a lot of this. The creative process is going to be sped up. Generative AI has been transformative for text. A lot of people talk about ChatGPT, but I think the visuals are really there, and there are already some tools that help us create specific ad units for the CTV canvas, particularly these endemic native units that live within the UI. That's a novel type of ad, and being able to build them at scale with AI, that's going to be the game changer in 2024.